All right, cool.
Okay.
And if you want to share screen, just
Yeah.
do that
Okay.
and go back here. Here, and I think this is what you have. What do you have?
It's behind the toolbar there.
So
Yeah,
this,
no, the next one over.
this one.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
All right, hi guys. We are. Can you hear me? You say something.
Yes.
Okay, great. I am so sorry. We had a couple of issues. We're glad you're here. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Gareth, take it away.
Okay. So let's see, we're doing. This is weird to me to stand here, talk to people out in TV land.
Do you want the table? A table?
Table?
Yeah, one of the wrong ones over here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Why not?
Okay,
Why
all
not?
right.
All right. We'll make this seem really weird. Oh man. All right. All right, there we go. Yes, we're good. I'll get a chair. Very nice. All right, well, you're in the picture. All right, excellent. You are not.
No, I have to sit here then.
You have to sit there. All right, so we talk to the people out in TV world and run the show from here. All right, so hi everybody, my name is Gareth Griffith, and I'm gonna spend a little bit of time to talk about open house hosting and see what questions you might have out there. So feel free to just chime in, unmute yourself and jump in and ask a question anytime. Add a comment or observation about things that have worked for you. Be happy to kind of hear the wisdom out in the world to share with us. And so in the room today, we've got Will back here and Sahar right here. So she's over here waving. You can see a part of her. And so they're just finishing up Ignite and so just getting started with their careers in real estate. So they get their test tomorrow. So congratulations to them. I know you'll pass. Then you can get out there and sell. All right. So just a little bit about me. This is my third year in real estate and built my business through hosting open houses, through kind of working my database and referrals, and mainly that's it, where I've gotten kind of most of my business. So let's try to share the screen here. You guys are able to see the screen, I hope. We'll do that. There we go. All right, so open house hosting. So a lot of questions to get things started. So you guys in here have to answer questions. All right, you ready? Okay, so why do we hold an open house?
We can have buyers come in, get leads.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main reason.
That's the main
You
reason.
don't hold open house to sell a house. You do open house to have leads.
Yes. As the agent hosting the open house, that's absolutely why you do it. Yeah. It doesn't hurt in helping to sell a house. You get people in the door who can see it, who might not otherwise see it if their agent is busy. So it can definitely help. Definitely had listings where having an open house brought buyers in that, you know, they were able to like solidify their interest and came back and made offers. So that is really helpful. I guess I'll have to keep looking behind me. And so that's really helpful. But the main thing, yes, is to get leads. You might be able to find people who are ready to buy or sell kind of in the moment. But most likely you're going to run into people in the future, you know, who are going to be buyers down the road. Because if they're immediate, they're ready to go, they probably have an agent. Not always, but they might. And so you're really looking for the future. Those who are just starting to window shop, just getting into the business of looking for a home. And so know that hosting open houses and getting leads there is sort of a long game. most of the time. And so I know in the Ignite literature, you've got all, the 7-level open house. So I'm not gonna go through all that because you've already done that, but there's just the graphic to kind of remind you of kind of the different levels. It's way more than just throwing a sign in the yard and showing up on Sunday. So I just wanted to kind of break that 7 levels down into kind of 3 elements. Preparing for an open house, the day of hosting the open house, and then the follow-up. And so fortune's in the follow-up always, but you got to do your homework and get ready for it before you get there. So in the preparation, all right, so here's questions to ask yourself and to have answers for. Have your systems in place so that you are ready to go with your open house. All right, so as a new agent or any agent who wants to host an open house, if you don't have a listing, how are you going to find one? Will, what do you think? How are you going to find it?
You can find them through our office, through FMLS. And then also on our Facebook page, people always post when they're looking for someone to host.
Yep, as an emergency. Yep,
Yeah.
I'll throw it up there for sure. And so let's see what I have next. All right, so you go on with this one first. So I would say that the best way to find open houses is to build relationships with agents that you meet here in the office, that you meet in other places that list a lot of homes. So obviously agents, they want leads too. So they might host their own open houses, but we definitely have agents who list a lot of homes. They can't be at every one. They have a life they want to lead on a Saturday, Sunday afternoon. And so, get to know agents who list and, offer to host an open house. So stay in touch with them. Prepare, so go visit some open houses, and especially with agents in our office, and see what you like, what you don't like. Get to know people, especially if they're hosting their own open house. They get to know you're interested, and you can learn what they like and what they would prefer a host to do. That can be really helpful. And then be available. So if somebody asks you to host an open house, do your best to be available to do it. Obviously sometimes life is there, you have other plans, but if you can be consistent, and they'll keep calling you back. If you say no every time, they're not going to call you anymore, right? So it's to build that kind of relationships. And then don't be afraid to ask people. So if you see somebody's got a listing coming up or a listing out there, volunteer to host it. So you mentioned FMLS, and so you can go and do a quick search. And so you can search for listings that are being held by our office. You go down and search for properties that are active. You look for listings that are hosted by our office, and then you will get a return of who's listing those homes. So as you're starting out, homes that are brand new to the market, the listing agent might be the one hosting that first weekend's open house. But if something has sat there for a minute, then they might not want to do it the second or third weekend. So those are good properties to cut your teeth on and practice on. So look for people who have multiple things going on. So don't be afraid to reach out and ask. So hey, would you mind somebody host an open house? And you can look at the home a little bit too, and especially if it's vacant, offer to host an open house on a Wednesday night. Drive time. People are coming home from work. Those odd times, it might be a little harder to market and get people out there, but you never know.
Yes.
And so, especially for a vacant home, the more it's open, the better for the seller and the listing agent, and it gives you an opportunity to get in. So if it's not sort of the traditional time people are bouncing around looking at open houses, you might have to work harder to market it, but hey, that's our job, right? And so what do you think you need to know in order to host an open house? Okay.
Seller's disclosure or just information about ages of the house. Stuff in the house.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the stuff that's in disclosures, the age of the house,
Neighborhood analysis.
absolutely the neighborhood.
And school district as well.
School district, people are going to ask, what schools are here? Yes, absolutely. So you got to do your homework on the the area. So, but even before you do your homework, why you guys come in here Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the script practice is to have your open house script ready and practiced up so that you can engage people in conversation when they come in and build a rapport and walk away with contact info. Elite. That's the goal. But yes, you want to know the area, the neighborhood, features of the home, the disclosures, the story of the house, if you can get it. So these are all questions that are partly available in FMLS, partly available from disclosures, partly available from the listing agent, partly available from your just kind of knowing stuff and learning the neighborhoods, driving around and all of that. And I'll come back to this. I got questions later that people are going to ask about. So stuff you need to know. All right. How would you market your open house?
Should I go first?
Go ahead.
Okay, so, I had an open house last week, so what I did was I made flyers with my information on it as an hosting agent. So the thing that I did is, like 1 or 2 days before, I went to the neighborhood and sent them the flyers. Just knock their doors, talk to them. If they open the door, if they were in a home, just put it on their porch or somewhere.
Yep.
And I had visitors coming from that flyer, from the neighborhood. And make an email, I sent it to all my database, like on Thursday before. And my social media, Facebook, Instagram, I did it. So that's how I market it.
Yeah, good, perfect. Will, you got any other ideas?
Yeah, I know you can do it on like Zillow and Realtor.com, so you can always advertise open houses as well. So there's a lot of online opportunities, obviously putting up signs around the neighborhood. And yeah, flyers are really good, door knocking in the neighborhood.
Yeah, all of those are great. Yeah, and you pretty much have answered kind of all the questions here or all the ideas. But yeah, definitely make sure that the listing agent has the open house in FMLS and Georgia MLS, because that then triggers all those Realtor.com and Zillow for the open houses that we know our consumers are on and looking at. So definitely make sure that that is posted as soon as you know you're going to have open house. Make sure the listing agent has it. They'll do it, but always good to check. And then yeah, definitely post it on your social, sending out stuff to your database. So why would you do that? You're going to get people coming to the open house because of it?
Yes, I'm thinking that
You
you're
did?
hosting it. Yes, I did. But I didn't receive anyone from my database.
There you go. Yeah. And so the main thing with that is that you're reminding your database that you're in real estate.
Yes.
And that you're busy,
that they're working.
you're active at it, right? You're hosting open houses. And a lot of people won't look closely enough to realize that you're just hosting and not the listing agent. And you'll even see that when people walk in the home. And so, that's good. They think you're selling homes. Great.
Yes.
That is awesome. And then certainly you send out to the office, to other agents, post it on the Quan Facebook page, the Rawls Group Facebook page. Those are good places to post things. And then the door knocking is definitely a really good thing to do. That's how you're gonna get neighbors to come in.
Yes.
And build rapport with other people before they get there. You'll drive traffic into the open house, which is good for a lot of reasons. So you'll have the curious neighbors who just want to see what remodels have happened,
exactly.
for sure. But if they're in the home and a serious buyer is in the home, they don't know that it's a neighbor. And so now all of a sudden you're building a little bit of like, oh, this is a in-demand house, and that helps the seller and the listing agent.
Yeah.
So if you're bringing people in and it's sort of an atmosphere where a lot of people are looking, sellers like that, listing agents like that, real buyers walk away and think, oh, I gotta get my offer in. That other couple really like that house too. I could hear it. And then another thing you could do is, circle prospect, get on the phone. So get, Martha Reen could probably get you a list of phone numbers in the neighborhood and you could just call and invite people that way. So if you don't have time or want to get out and do the flyer, But door knocking, putting flyers out, yeah, key. And, 2 days beforehand is great. So, Friday for a Sunday open house kind of thing. Give people a chance to plan a little bit and see it. And then your directional signs, definitely you want to have them out, say like on a Friday for a Sunday open house, Thursday night for a Saturday open house, so that drive-bys kind of see that something's going to happen. And then, the whole trope of real estate agents putting the balloons on there, but the day of putting something that will catch people's eye as they're driving around. So the random drive-by will see, oh, there's an open house today. There's balloons, or the spinny pinwheel things, or whatever it is.
I was surprised how many people actually came into my open house because they saw the sign just driving by.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Everybody knows that, open houses are on Sunday afternoons or Saturday afternoons. And so they'll be driving around and say, oh, I got 20 minutes to kill. There's an open house. Let's go check it out. They're looking for remodel ideas, or maybe going to buy down the road, whatever it is. So they're just curious. But good people to meet and know. And so make sure you got your name and phone number on it. So I've definitely gotten leads from people calling and never coming to the open house. If they call with a question about the house, and then all of a sudden you've got their phone number, you got their name, you know what they're looking for, you've been able to engage them in a conversation, and now you got a lead. So, I've told hundreds of people I've gotten like that. Just a sign call.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
How many directional signs should you have per open listing? Is there such a thing as, are they numbers like 10, 15, 5 or whatever?
You can't have too many. The kind of the rule of thumb is, if I'm looking at a property, I want to find the nearest main road, or two, depending on the neighborhood layout. And make sure that there's a sign leading from the main road, the heavily traveled road, into the neighborhood. And then at every corner that directs you to the house.
Okay.
So it will vary depending on the neighborhood and where the house is and all that.
For the weekends, I do understand. Like if you put out the directional signs Friday afternoon, might not be that big of a problem. As you said earlier, if we had open house on during the weekdays like Wednesdays, is there a problem? Is it against the law, I guess, to put out directional signs? I know there are cities somewhat.
Not necessarily a law per se. However, there are definitely HOAs that have restrictions. And so where they don't want signs up. And so you have to ask, if you're listing a home in an HOA, ask the listing agent, find out what the rules are, so that you don't put a sign up in some place that a maintenance guy is going to come by and take your sign down. So, if you're going to stick it in somebody's yard, ideal is to go ask them if it's okay. For the most part, though, if you're putting it at corners, I usually put it next to like a stop sign or a fire hydrant or something that's already there. I've had very little issues with that. But there have been occasions, when somebody's stolen a sign. It happens. People don't, they don't want it in their yard or their neighborhood. And they don't realize that, if we're bringing sellers into their neighborhood, we're raising the prices in their neighborhood because more people want to be there. And, they don't get that. But, people are strange. But for the most part, if you're kind of smart about it, you won't have any issues.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we covered how do you market it. Certainly social. You can always buy ads on Facebook, things like that, if you want to do that, expand your reach kind of thing. But you don't have to spend money to market it. So, there's a sign. It's one of my early ones where I was, writing on it. But, definitely put the time in the day, your phone number, name, how they can reach you, that kind of thing.
If you write on it, would you use like a dry erase so you can reuse it?
Yes, yeah, you want to do that, or find some way that you can reuse them. what I really prefer is like to know the times that you traditionally do it and get like a, you know, the rider, something that you would stick on the sign.
Yes.
You know, get one printed up with your name and phone number, and then a rider with, you know, Sunday 2 to 4, or Saturday 1 to 5, or whatever the times that you like to do. And then you can swap them out,
Yes.
you know, or if you love to do that midweek Wednesday, you know, 5 to 7 kind of thing, you know, get some riders for that. So anyway, but this works. All right, so then getting you've marketed it, you've done your homework, and getting set up for it. So questions to kind of keep in mind, you know, to be ready, you know, how do you get the house set up and ready? You know, we're still in the middle of a pandemic, so how do you manage that scene? Virtual open houses, it's still on there, not so much a thing right at the beginning of when everything was shutting down. Definitely we did have virtual open houses, not so much anymore. However, you know, you may find that, you know, you have a client or a buyer who wants to see a house through Facebook Live or something like that, you know, or FaceTime. So get used to the idea of showing a home virtually. Because I've helped buyers moving from out of state with my phone, walking through a home, and they bought a house without seeing it. Fortunately, when they got here, they loved it, right? But we had seen some houses in person together, and then they, you know, went back out of town, and then so I knew what they liked, and they knew what they were looking for, and it worked. So get used to that idea. And then this is the big one: how are you going to add value to the people who are coming through? You know, that's big, because if you can add value, they will talk to you. They will be willing for you to let their information get captured, to be turned into a, okay. So really think about that. So certainly make sure that, you know, your signs are going to capture the attention day of. Make sure that your home is ready to be seen. You know, so this is partly on the listing agent and the sellers that it's occupied to, you know, do everything they can to get it clean, to get things picked up, to get stuff out of the way. Certainly listing agents will remind their sellers, because they already have, you know, anything valuable, personal, put it away, lock it up, because you're going to have people coming through the home. Part of your responsibility as an open house host is to keep an eye on people, make sure nobody walks out with the flat screen TV kind of thing. But, you know, but definitely the sellers need to take some reasonable precautions, because if you get 2, 3 groups in there, it might be hard to manage everything, right? So you just have to be aware. And then a good kind of rule of thumb in COVID world is, you know, even if you're comfortable without a mask, if somebody walks to the door with a mask on, I always have to put mine on. You know, so whoever is the least comfortable in this environment, I meet them where they are. And so I think that's important. Even if you've got one couple in there that isn't wearing a mask and the next one comes up with a mask is on. You know, I want to make sure that they're comfortable. And that I'm showing that I respect their decision about their health, right? Okay. And then never hurts to have extras on hand. Most listing agents will have a few out just in case, but you know, never hurts to have a few in your bag. And then think about traffic flow. You know, so get to the home, be aware of it. You know, so one couple comes in and they're on the main floor. Invite the next couple to come in. Why don't you guys check out upstairs? We have a family in the kitchen right now and they can swap. You know, so keep people apart. And social distancing, just help them kind of manage that. And then figure out where you can be in the home to sort of keep an eye on everything without hovering.
And they feel more comfortable.
Well, not necessarily. Some people love to chat. They have questions up constantly. Some people just want to look. And so, but your responsibility is to the owner and the listing agent, and to just, you know, protect the house and to help people manage their tour of the home so they're not on top of each other. And then, yeah, so one thing I like to do just to, again, for my people on my social media, not that I'm gonna sell the house this way, but do it, if I have time, do a quick little Facebook Live thing maybe before the open house starts. Say, hey guys, I'm here live, got an open house this afternoon at 123 Main Street. Let me give you a quick tour. In 90 seconds, you've given them a really quick kind of walk through the main features. And again, reminding your people that you're out there. And we know that on Facebook and Instagram that videos get more looks than words or pictures, right? So great. And then
Just
always,
one more question.
yes.
If you're hosting a house and then if you're recording, do you need to get permit from the agent or the owner to film?
Yes, you should ask. And I don't feel so bad when if the house is vacant, but certainly if the house is occupied and their personal effects property in the house, I would definitely ask about that.
If it's vacant and after you host the property, do you leave the video or do you delete it? I mean, I know some people might say, oh, this is my listing, you were hosting open house, but now you're advertising it.
Yes. So this is a good question. So you should ask and have a conversation with the listing agent at the time that you are agreeing on hosting the open house, and ask them what's okay, what they want. Most agents that I've worked with are, they just want to sell the house. They're happy that it's open, and they give me sort of a blank slate to advertise it, to post it on my social media to capture all the leads, all of that. Some, to make my information more prominent than theirs on kind of the flyers I have, because we're doing them a favor. But others want equal billing. So you just have to talk to the listing agent and find out what they're comfortable with.
Thank you.
Yeah. And it's a relationship that you're building with the listing agent. So, talk through that stuff. Absolutely. And then, definitely think through all the stuff that you talked about earlier about, being prepared so that you can add value as you get it through. And then spend your time talking to people when they come in, be friendly, connect with them, and then have some sort of a system for capturing leads. So here's some scripts. And the questions that you ask, these are not elaborate scripts, so it's not really hard to remember them. And first of all, personal connection. Hey, my name's Gareth, hosting the open house today. What's your name? Okay, most people will tell you. Some don't, but it's like, okay, this one's going to be hard, but okay. And then the question to ask is, are you shopping for a home today or do you live in the neighborhood? And so the answer they give you will tell you what they are 99% of the time. So if they are shopping for a home, they're a buyer. If they live in the neighborhood, they could potentially be a seller. All right, so if you got a buyer, your follow-up questions, or what are you looking for in your next home? And start to ask the questions to build a snapshot of what they're looking for. All right, so yeah, and they know what they're looking for. We're looking for a 4-bedroom house with a basement and a nice backyard. Okay, what else? What else was important to you? Well, an updated kitchen would be nice, but it's not critical. Or we would really, we really want to be in a swim and tennis neighborhood. All those sorts of things. Ask a few questions so you can start to build that picture. And then say, okay, well, great. Well, this home has a lovely basement downstairs. I hope you will check that out as you go through the home. And point out the things that this house has that they're looking for to help them get an idea of things. And then say, love to get your impressions when you're done with the house, done with the tour. Happy to answer any questions along the way. If it's the only people in there, you can sort of be around to answer questions or to point out things. If you've got multiple groups in, you kind of have to juggle it a little bit, but set the expectation that you will circle back with them before they leave. Okay. So this is how I do it. I mean, some people will have them walk in the door and sign up, right? I don't do that, but other people will have a clipboard and sign up, sort of like you have to sign in before you walk in, kind of thing. Do what's comfortable to you. This is what I do. And if they answer with, oh yeah, we live around the corner, and say, okay, great, what do you like about the neighborhood? So you get to engage them in a conversation about what it is that they like about living in the neighborhood. Point out some of the things about this house that are kind of key selling features. It's like, oh, well, the owners of this house, so they've done a great job of remodeling the master bath, the owner's suite. So you guys should really go check that out. And then, I'd love to get your impressions about the house after you've kind of gone through it. And, let me know how it compares to yours or other houses that you know in the neighborhood. So you're sort of asking them for help at the end to help you understand the neighborhood and the house and all that. And they will come back and they'll tell you, yes, yeah, we love that. We're going to take that idea and do it in our house. Or, yeah, this house has, this house doesn't have a basement, ours does, that sort of thing. So you start to build a conversation about their house, always good, and their neighborhood. So you might gain some information you can share with somebody else coming in, but you're building that conversation with them. All right, and then the ends of when you have circled back to people, this is where it's important to know your stuff. All right, so if somebody comes through, a buyer, and they've seen it, and they say, yeah, this isn't quite for us. Say, okay, well that's great. What did you like about the home? What is it missing? Oh, okay, well, all right, I get it. You wanted a nice flat backyard. Well, you know what? There's a home for sale, around the next neighborhood over that has similar features. Has that backyard that you're looking for. So know some of the inventory around, so you can kind of point to some of that stuff. Always helpful. You could give them more information about the neighborhood and the comps in the neighborhood. So you could remind them, this house is priced really well for this neighborhood if they're starting to show interest. If you get into that conversation, you have a lender, find out what information they need or would like to have, and then offer it to them. Well, would it be value to you if I sent you a list of homes in the area? Or if you find out that schools are important to them, well, would it be of value to you if I sent you a list of homes that are for sale in Soap Creek Elementary? Or would you be offended if I follow it up in a day or two to see if you to give you an idea of some other homes that might be appealing to you? So most of the time people will say, yeah, sure, that'd be fun. Sometimes not, but if you get it, their information, great. And then with that, what's a good email address that I could use, or a good phone number to give you a call? Most people I find, more willing to give you an email address than a phone number. They don't want to be called. But if you get a phone number, you can call, you can text, you can follow up. And you can always, got a lot of kind of questions you could ask there. So that's important. But you got to have a system for writing it down. I'll show you an example in a second. So let's see. No, I'll come back. I'll go in order of the slides. So questions that people are going to ask. I get these a lot. They want to know how old stuff is. All right. Sometimes it's in the disclosure. Sometimes it's not. If it's not in disclosures, ask the listing agent if they know. They may or may not. Okay. People always want to know the seller's story. I don't know why, but they do. Are they moving for work, or what they think they're trying to get at is like, do they hate the house and are leaving because of it? Kind of thing. And so, they're leaving for a legitimate reason, right? They're downsizing, or they're moving for work, or their kids are getting older and they want a different layout, or whatever it is. People are going to ask about the HOA. They're going to ask about other neighborhoods. How does this neighborhood hold its value over time? They'll want to know what's staying and what's not, because they haven't looked at the disclosures yet. They want to know how big it is, how big is the basement, how big is the living area. There were renovations, when were they done? Did the seller do them, or were they done before the seller? How long have they lived here? And then just general questions about the market in general, people will ask. So, and you'll get others. These are the things that you're here for. So here's just an example of a flyer, front and back, that I make up to have available in that adding value idea. So on the left is sort of, this is about the house, right? So this is to sell the house. It's got my contact info. This is an open house I did for, I don't remember at this point, but they, Christy Hyatt. And so she was great. She said, you don't need to put my info on the flyer. Others I've got, I do equal billing, but she was, really kind of insistent, you sell yourself. I said, okay, great. So I did. And then on the back of it, what I do is I create, just stuff that buyers would like to know. So big questions about, where is value determined? In the middle there is a really quick market analysis of the neighborhood. What's currently listing, what's recently sold, pick comparable homes. In an ideal world, I'm hopefully showing that this house for sale is well priced for the neighborhood. That the neighborhood is in really good shape. And so that they can see what's going on with that, because everybody wants to know. And then if they're out looking at open houses, they're probably going to go look at more. And they may have stuff in their app, but they may not. So I give them a list of open houses that are open that day or that weekend. And so that's always something that you can hand to them as they walk out the door and say, hey, look, you're going to go look at some more open houses. Here's some houses, here's some more open houses nearby. And why don't you check this one out? It's got what you're looking for. Kind of thing. And then, so here's my way of collecting information from people. So I have this on a clipboard. And so, at the end, when I'm saying, what's a good email address to send you a list of homes, I hand them the clipboard and have them write down whatever I can get on here. And so some people will be really specific and write a lot of stuff down there. Others will just leave a name and not. But I ask in here, sometimes I will ask, I don't necessarily ask, but so if they have an agent or not, I don't usually ask that question directly, but I try to get at it. So for example, somebody says, yeah, we love this house and we think we'd like to make an offer, say, well, great, if you're really interested in this house, reach out to your agent and have them call the listing agent. And then they'll say, oh yeah, okay, we'll do that. Or, well, we don't have an agent. Gold, right? And so, but here as well. And if they do have an agent, I always try to get them to write down their name, the agent's name, and I'll tell you why in a second. So if they don't have an agent, then that's a potential lead for me. And so, I really want their information at this point. So this is a way for them to give it to me. It's hopefully at this point non-threatening, because we've had some conversations along the way, and I'm offering them to send them something that they want or could use. Okay, the more information you get, the better, because it will help you remember. And then as people walk away, I flip it over and I write notes. Okay, this couple is moving from Florida. They're visiting relatives. They plan to move this summer. It's like, great. Okay, so now I know something about them. Or, yeah, they said that they have, 3 kids, or whatever information they got, or their son and daughter-in-law live in the neighborhood. They're just out kind of browsing homes, but they want to be closer to their grandkids. Awesome, So I write notes that I can remember later, so that when I reach back out to them, I can reference something about them.
Excuse me.
Yes.
If they have an agent and they still request for you to send them some information, how would you handle that?
So it depends on what it is. So if it is like, you know, do you have the disclosures? Say, sure, I'll send them to you. If they want a list of homes or anything like that, I say, you know, well, you know, reach out to your, you know, talk to your agent. You know, and I would really recommend to ask your agent to look in, you know, closer to downtown Smyrna. You know, because you're going to find some really great deals there. So I try to be really helpful, but not do the work of another agent.
Great.
Do the work that you would do as a listing agent to help sell the house, but not the work of their agent to buy the house. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, come on. Let's see. Okay, so you can create an electronic sign-in. You can create a web page on your website through command and designs. And so you can collect information, and this, do it this way, it will, all that what they type in will go immediately to your command database.
Okay.
So, which is kind of cool, but it means you have to have your laptop up, and they have to enter it in and all that. So sometimes it's an extra step. And I've tried this. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. The paper works pretty well for me. And so, or you can create a QR code. So that QR code would take you to that online
Okay.
web page to sign up. So that's another thing you can put out.
They don't have to have like an iPad out.
You don't have to have an iPad out. They can do it from their phone. You know, certainly in COVID times, you don't have to have people picking up somebody else's pen or whatever it is, or even on your laptop. You know, it's like, okay, here's a QR code. Yeah, put your info in here, and I'll send you what you need, kind of thing. So.
It was opening up here.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're gonna try to get to my webpage, right? Okay. And then here's the follow-up. So it's always about the follow-up. And so here's how you keep listing agents continuing to ask you to host their open houses. All right, so is give them information, because their seller is gonna say, oh, how'd the open house go today? All right, and so find out when your listing agent wants to know all this information. You know, is it like in 30 minutes after the open house? Is tomorrow morning fine? You know, find out what they like. Keep track of how many people come by. Figure out what it is that people like about the house and don't like about the house, and share that with the listing agent, because they want to be able to share it with their seller. You know, everything from, you know, we love the renovations, or we thought the renovations were cheaply done, or you know, they liked it, but the windows fogged up and need to be replaced, or they didn't like the backyard, or whatever, you know, just so that more information is better. And then for the people who do come with an agent, send all those agents' names to the listing agent, because they can then follow up. Say, hey, look, you know, Joe Smith over at Atlanta Communities, you know, your client stopped by my open house today. Do they have any interest? You know, they let the listing agent do their work, because you're giving them contact info for the agents, for the people who came through. And if somebody says, yeah, we're going to put in an offer, say, great, here's your agent. And then you can alert the listing agent, say, oh, so-and-so said they were going to call their agent, put in an offer. So just so you know, so the listing agent can follow up if they don't see it, right? And then, you know, you're a professional, so any impressions, observations that you have about the home from others that you've seen, share those with the listing agent. You know, because over time you start to see stuff. You know, I've certainly hosted open houses and been able to give suggestions back to the listing agent that amplifies what they had been telling their seller. Oh, you know, the guy, you know, whoever hosted my open house saying the same thing. That's what the visitors are saying. And then the seller goes, okay, I'll fix that. And then the house sells, right? So all of that. So listing agents, you gotta help them out, so they keep calling you back. All right, and then as you are staying in touch with people, there is a smart plan and command for open house follow-up. You can put them on any follow-up plan you want. And so figure out what it is that you can add value in the follow-up. You know, so the next week, send them a list of open houses. in the same area or areas that they said they're interested in. Send them updates on the market if it's shifting or if it's not. If they're first time buyers and they're just starting, send them information about the home buying process overall, or mortgage people they can go talk to if they haven't started that process at all, right? You know, give them tips on things to look for when they're going through a home, or you know, if it's a seller in the neighborhood, a potential seller, you know, say, okay, so yeah, you were talking about wanting to remodel your basement. You know, do you need any contractors who do your basements? And, you know, send them somebody from your Rolodex. Okay, that tells you how old I am. Or send them information about return on investment, you know, so that they get an idea of, you know, okay, replacing a roof versus, you know, painting a house or whatever. And then certainly, you know, if things go under contract, you know, let buyers know, hey, this home that you looked at, it was under contract by the end of the weekend. And so things are moving really quick. You know, so if they're a potential lead for you, then, you know, that helps to, you know, to another point of conversation to kind of follow up with people. The neighbors really like to know about what did it sell for. So once that becomes kind of final and it closes, then you share with the public information at that point. You can share with the neighbors who stopped by, hey, that house that you at the open house, you know, it sold for, you know, 5, 10, you know, $2,000 in closing costs. Like, oh, great. You know, so that helps them, right? So you got to kind of keep tabs of things and keep your systems up. And so pretty typically, you know, I'll make probably 2-3 contacts in the week following an open house with potential leads. And then another couple over the next few weeks. You know, and so until we've either converted them or they're clearly not coming around. You know, but with the idea that, you know, it's going to take sometime 7-10 kind of looks to get somebody. And, you know, I've even had people come back months later if you are able to stay in touch. So it's a long game sometimes. So that's real estate, so stay in it. Okay, there are other places out there, other folks who do great open house stuff. Here's one guy, Chris Suarez, who's kind of a dynamo at this stuff. There's a YouTube link. Certainly there's info and all the literature we've got here at KW. So a lot of people out there know what they're talking about. So you can find some good tricks and ideas. You know, some people will turn an open house into more of an event than I do. Certainly in pre-COVID times, you know, but let the house be the star. Kind of my feeling with it. You know, I think if you're operating open houses for, you know, $2 million properties, it's a different deal. You're hosting a party kind of thing, but and with selected invitees, right? But it's, you know, that's not what most of us are doing every day. Okay. So here's my contact info. If you ever have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out. Happy to kind of help anybody out. So any other questions out there? Grace, you got a question?
Thank you.
See if she's still listening. She's logged in. All right.
I'm listening. I just pressed the wrong button. Thank you, Gareth. Very informative.
Right,
thank you.
all right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And if you ever got any questions, just feel free to reach out. And good luck with your open houses. Hope you get a lot of leads.
Thank you,
You're a
Gareth.
very good teacher, Gareth. You know that.
Thanks, Grace. Maybe I've done this before, huh?
Yes, probably.
Yeah.
I'm a
yeah.
blessed one.
Only for 21 years. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I was a teacher
Awesome.
before I was in real estate. So there you go. All right. Take care, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
What did you teach?